Hello, Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout. Today was max effort bench press day. We got a lot done today, so please reach down there and click like down below. Only you can help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. I know a lot of times you guys will look down there and say, well, they are higher. And then you don't check again later, and all of a sudden the dislike bot comes through and throws 50 dislikes at it. So if you guys could please help with that, it would be greatly appreciated. So, over to the point, we use 67 pounds of change. Now, interestingly enough, when I started messing with some other close grip later, I found kind of my groove again with rep work that looked very similar to what it did back in December when I was hitting some pretty decent close grip presses. Because this one felt heavy at the lockout. It didn't feel bad at the chest, right? I went down, felt good. I felt the lockout was really grindy to the point to where if I made another jump, I felt like I would miss it. And I felt it all in my chest. And this is kind of the dilemma we run into with this training, isn't it? Like, why am I feeling it in my chest when it's, clearly triceps struggling with the lockout at the top? And it's like, well, we just address both, right? We need to make sure I grow both so everything is geared towards that. And we're not going to worry about the overhead pressing or any of that stuff because it doesn't carry over. Now, people are going to say, Jason, you've been doing floor press. Why are you going to mess with close grip today? A couple of reasons. Number one, the last time when I was doing my floor presses, when I have my wrist wraps on tight and I lay down on the floor, I felt like it was straining my wrist a little bit to the point where my wrist has been sore all weekend. Not to the point where I can't press, but it's just sore, especially there my right hand, and I noticed that was causing it. So I'm like, let me take a break from having to press my hand on the ground with the wrist wrap on to get in position as I'm getting down on the floor. I felt like that could be an issue with the floor press. So I'm like, I'll just do some close grip pressing. Also, it'll let me practice a couple different touch positions, because if I'm going to do 5 sets of 10, we can practice a lot of different spots, can't we? We can practice different touch points as far as up and down the chest a couple inches, test my grip a little bit back and forth. And what I started finding is that when I started using the same grip width and exact touch point on my low chest that I hit those bigger numbers back in December with, it felt better. It's like, okay, so I need to get back into that groove, because I went back and after I did those, I looked at the footage to kind of compare, and it's the same. Now, the first couple sets, it's not, and it felt a little awkward, which again, this could give me some practice going back to doing something similar to what I'm doing with the maxes. So for me, it really, the best position as far as the rep work feeling the best is when I touch pretty low on the chest. And by low, I mean 3 to 4 inches below my nipple line. And with what I would call a medium grip. Everyone else would call it a close grip, but a medium grip to me means about 1.5 inches between my pointer finger and the smooth in the middle. Because a lot of times when I've been close grip pressing, people don't realize I'm right on the edge of the smooths. Right, I'm on those smooths. But about 1.5 inches up to 2 inches, which puts me really almost, as far as my main hand, midway between the rings and the knurling, maybe a 1/2 inch closer towards the center, towards the actual smooths, as far as that piece of knurling goes. So that felt the best. Right, it felt the best. It felt like I could get a little more tricep involved. I felt like I could lock it with it closer down towards pushing it down instead of drifting up over my face. Because that's what happened, right? On that lockout, when I was struggling against the change right there, the bar was actually hitting the uprights again. Well, when I'm unracking and I'm lowering, the bar is like 5 inches away from them. That means when I start to grind, I'm pushing the bar all the way back up over, well, towards my upper chest. Okay, that's not really ideal. That in and of itself is indicative of a tricep weakness. Means I'm trying to take the triceps out and use my chest, probably why my chest is straining so hard even with that chain lockout. So we really have to work on both. And I mean, realistically, doing the close grip press builds both. Phenomenal tricep exercise, good chest exercise. The dips build both, and the dips are fantastic for chest, right? Dips are an amazing chest builder, and they're a great tricep builder. So I'm really killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And what are we doing for volume? Well, 5 sets of each. That puts me at 10 work sets, not counting the max. 10 work sets that we would count as legitimate work sets towards chest. And if we want to count these big multi-joint movements on something like the triceps, some experts will count them as half sets. That would give me basically 5 sets in theory, although I feel like the dips could count as more than half sets towards triceps. But either way, I needed 5 sets for triceps on top of it, which is why we did the JM presses. But this way, we're ensuring 10 quality sets, 10 challenging sets for the pecs, 10 challenging sets for the triceps, depending on how we count the dips. If we count the dips as full sets, it'd be like 12 to 13. We're still kind of in our ideal range, right? But I've got to overbuild those triceps. I've got to keep working the pecs. But again, I mean, close grip pressing builds your chest, but the dips tremendously build the chest. So, if we're doing this twice a week, this is a lot of chest work, right? It is a lot of chest work. And there's no doubt about that. So, I mean, we're hitting these weak points. And realistically, if you want to build, a medium or close grip max bench, what works? Well, a lot of people say, well, you need to build triceps with close grip presses and dips, right? Builds triceps. Almost every expert says those are the top 2 exercises for triceps. Dips are great for chest, but I feel my chest more on all of this. Like when it comes down to it, I feel my chest way more than my triceps on all of these, which is why I know I need extra tricep work. And again, the whole idea here is to get my triceps stronger, specifically as it pertains to the benching. So that's why I do the JM presses later. Because my overall tricep development is actually getting hit quite well with these dips. And for those curious, these were sets of 12. Using the bands, I managed to squeeze out 12 on all of them. I might have only got 11 on the last one, so I'm getting stronger against this band tension. If this keeps up, we'll go up to the next band. But definitely works. Feel my pecs lit up, feeling my triceps lit up, and they should be. I mean, we're doing a max bench, then 5 sets of close grip, and then we get to this. So they should be pretty damn lit up. They should be worked pretty hard. And I guess the other thing that will come up, people say, well, why so much focus in on the triceps? Because if the triceps are limiting my chain benches and I use bands and chains to test my strength, and particularly we're concerned with the eccentric loading and all of it, that's what will make my max bench go up. It doesn't matter if people argue, well, those are more tricep involved and you're just building your supplemental lift. It's irrelevant, isn't it? Because if your supplemental lifts maxes get stronger, your main lift goes up too. And this is something that sounds bizarre to a lot of people who haven't studied the conjugate system, but it works, and it works very, very well, because it just makes you all around strong. It makes you all around strong. Right? We know that. So, it's exactly what we're doing, but today is going to be a long workout. We're doing a lot of supplemental work, and that's the way it's going to have to be. I'm only training 4 days with real training. Only 4 days with real training. Yes, I'm doing restoration stuff on off days. Someone said, can you film it? No, I don't want to film it. I don't want to put clothes and crap on for you guys just to do a set of reverse hypers and set up the camera. No, it's just not worth it to me. I just don't care enough. Right? It's not like anything I'm doing is a special lift or anything technical. I'm doing abs, reverse hypers, pinch blocks, maybe some band press downs for triceps. Right? It's not real training. It's just restoration type stuff. So no, I'm not going to do it. The other question came up of, what about GPP? Like I'm at my maximum recovery, guys. When I was doing that 7 days a week, I've never fully recovered from that yet. I don't have recovery to deal with extra conditioning these days. I really don't. I did a ton of it last year. But, I'm starting to realize with my current training, getting size and strength is a higher priority. I'm getting really, really high rep leg work in, doing sets of 20. Right? I'm getting a conditioning component from that. I'm at the point in the game, if I've got energy to spend on the conditioning and recovery, I could be doing more training on these main days. And I would rather keep it that way. I would rather keep the volume very, very high with supplemental lifts to build more muscle. And again, there's a conditioning component. If you're doing a bunch of 12s and 15s and 20s on multi-joint exercises, there's a conditioning component to that. We're getting the health benefits for the most part. Not all of them, but the majority of them. And there's plenty of experts who have stated that, and they agree with that based upon the literature. I'm not that worried right now. Will there be a point where I'll come in and eventually do more conditioning? Most likely. I might even rotate back into what I was doing with the speed work eventually. Right now, I don't need it. Right now, it's got to be hypertrophy, all my weak points, and get good at maxes again. and stay within my recoverable volume. So I'd rather do just more volume on my 4 days and only do restoration type stuff on off days. And again, support musculature, abs, low back. So here we did the inverted rows again. And sets of 12 are challenging, especially with short breaks. Like for me at my body weight, some people say, well, you could have your feet up. I weigh 220 pounds and I've done multiple big exercises already. These are challenging. These are pretty well limit sets. They're fine. And they gave me DOMs last time. These gave me DOMs. Like it hit like my rhomboids and things harder than they're used to being hit. In fact, because of that in the upright rows, I actually had pretty serious DOMs the next day. Okay, I had serious DOMs the next day after I did these last week. All this stuff. Then we went over to the JM press. I went ahead and did them on a bench because it's like, well, I need to carry over to my close grip. I'm giving you guys a side angle here so you can kind of see what's going on. And for people, again, who don't understand the JM press, it's a hybrid between a skull crusher and a close grip bench. It's what it is. If you want to know how to do it and why you do it certain ways, go watch JM Blakely's video. And we could argue about exact form, but because I'm going very light on these, a lot of the form issues and concerns that some people have are not as big of a deal. I added 5 pounds on these. I got 12 to 13 reps on every set. And it hit my triceps exactly how I wanted them to be hit. And it didn't hurt my shoulders or my elbows. So we could argue about the nuances of the exact form on these, but I'm just doing them as rep work. And it's hitting my triceps. I felt my triceps burning in the spots that we know carry over to close grip benching and benching the most. And that's why I'm doing them. I'm not overly concerned. You know what? My overall tricep development, a lot of it's going to come from things like those dips. Those dips are going to hit the triceps. This is more specialized. I'm doing this purely to increase my triceps in the way they're used on that close grip benching. That's why I use the exact grip width of the close grip bench. Because I know I need those triceps to be able to push through and lock harder at the top. I've got to get them bigger because a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. So that's the name of the game. So 5 sets of about 12 to 13. And again, I'll need to bump the weight again. I'll just use fractional plates and micro load this up from here. But I was happy with the way they felt. I was happy with what they hit. And so we could argue all we want about different variations. We could argue about the exact bar path. Not really relevant because it's working what I needed to work. That's the thing I've had people come through and argue in the last few days. Again, I don't like the way you do box squats, not the way Westside does. I'm like, how much do you squat? Because I use those box squats to build my back squat up to 550. They seem to be working just fine for what I need, which is to get my squat stronger. Right? They work. So with these, again, we've got to remember, what is it we're doing with the exercises? I'm doing this exercise to hit my lateral and medial head of the triceps to get them as big as possible with a decent multi-joint exercise. It's a hybrid between what we would think of as a single joint and a multi-joint, right? Because it's a hybrid with a closed grip bench, a skull crusher. And again, when you go too heavy with these or you let your elbows dip too low, what happens? They hurt. They cause inflammation. So you do got to be careful with them. And that's another reason people say, well, you could have more weight. Yeah, when I used to do more weight on them, it didn't work. I have to build to that. I can use more weight when I get stronger in my triceps. Then we do the wide grip upright rows. And I want to, again, point out, this has come up. By the way, these gave me the most intense delt DOMs I've had in years. So I know they worked. I went up 10 pounds and added 2 reps on every set this time. Instead of 5 by 10, we did 5 by 12. Yeah, definitely feel the delts. But what we need to remember, I want you guys to notice 2 things. I'm wide grip. I'm outside of my shoulder width. Okay? And we don't go up past the chest. Really not even past the lower chest. Why? Because that's how you get shoulder impingement on the upright row. That's why they're known as being a shoulder destroyer. Okay, this way will be safer. And it works. I mean, I felt my delts the next day. In fact, I'm probably going to have that problem tomorrow. It might make it hard to squat. And someone else had asked, why are you doing these? Couldn't you just do face pulls? It's like, well, this is a better overall shoulder girdle exercise. Okay. I've been doing the face pulls. My rear delts and stuff are still lagging. My delts still need more work. I need something that's going to hammer them harder. Comes down to the individual. I know other guys who do nothing but overhead press. and face pulls, and they get great delts. Okay, delts are not a genetic strong point for me, particularly my side delts, rear delts, all that. So it's going to be a lot of pulls for the upper back. We're going to do the upright rows because we're going to have to find the stuff that really hits those muscles for us. And the side laterals, even when they were starting to hit them correctly, they hurt. They hurt my shoulders. I was probably at risk of damaging them. All right, I'm not built for that exercise. All right, I'm not built for it. These seem to be safer. We're doing them in a way that's normally a counterindicated exercise, but technically side laterals should be also. Lateral raises should be really a counterindicated exercise. They're just as dangerous. So again, you make them work. We use the variation that physiologists agree is a much safer. And it works. My delts were throbbing. And then afterwards I decided, I need to throw in some curls. Why? I skipped real curls on Friday and just did the band curls. I'm like, I already have a bar loaded up. I bet you I can get 10 or more reps with this. And I just cranked out a quick 3 sets of 12. Now people say, why the belt? Because sometimes my low back used to cramp on curls. So why not? Right? You can use the belt to brace against. And I generally use a belt for anything I do standing. Again, use it to brace. Really don't care. You get people who will say stupid stuff like, oh, you're going to wear a belt for curls. Like, yeah, I'm probably stronger than you too. And that's probably not a coincidence. Right? You deadlift 600 plus pounds. So there's a reason we use a belt. And I've made multiple videos on that. And hopefully people can grasp it. There's reasons to wear the belt. Curls are a great example. It's an exercise which uses a lot of abdominal and low back activation. Standing curls. EMGs show that. Use the belt so you can brace. All right, it'll make recovery easier. Probably make you a hair stronger. But yeah, these were challenging. Sets of 12. I kind of had to rest, pause the last rep or two. I would call these cheat curls. I've had when I do cheat curls like this, sometimes guys will say they're pretty damn strict. I guess it depends on your definition. I don't think these are, in my definition, not like really strict. I would still count them as kind of a cheat curl, right? But the point is, I felt my biceps, they got lit up, they were challenging. They were basically sets to failure because when I come down, you don't always notice it. When I get to the bottom, I really can't do another rep. It's like, the bar just doesn't move. That's failure. 3 good sets to failure on these at the end of a, upper body workout where we've done a lot of other pulling. Just to make sure the biceps get some stimulation. And I may do something similar tomorrow. I might throw in the incline curls or the band curls after my rows. Again, I could use the extra bicep work. Why not? Strength athletes need to look like we lift too, bro. All right, guys, but it's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.